You're with Julian on the brown note. Is Anthony Albanese a genius playing 4D chess with the Israel lobby? Now, I have predicted Australian politics accurately for probably 8 years, I think. And for instance, doing the piece on Anthony Albanese winning the election against Peter Dutton about 10 months before the election. And I called the next election in a few years' time before the dust had settled from the last one last year. Like the thing I'm most proud about Australia is we've completely rejected the influence of populist right-wing news media. They have no impact on the vote at all. And they're going to spend the next few years trying to tell you that Pauline Hanson is Reform UK, is Reform Australia. But they don't actually have any impact. So everyone hammered Albanese, and I was really proud of him standing up to the Israel lobby and the news media. Chris Minns, he'd fold in a second. He'd just ban every Palestinian protest from now until the end of time. But Albanese is a much more measured and thoughtful man, and I'm starting to wonder, because I really hated it when he folded for the Israel lobby and launched this Royal Commission, because it's completely unsuitable and driven by a very politicised agenda to bash Labour and the Palestinian protesters and not actually be about anti-Semitism. But as soon as he did it, I started to wonder if actually he's ahead of me. I wonder if he actually realised everything all the way along. And by dragging it on as he did, even though it's the fastest Royal Commission ever, he actually let them hang themselves, because the Israel lobby tends to conduct its business behind the scenes. They'll phone up the chairman of the ABC, they'll phone up someone high up in the Liberal Party, in the Labour Party, but this made them more publicly known, I think, than anything else that's happened. So I'm starting to wonder whether his long-term judgment is even better than I expected it. So 6 weeks of relentless press coverage has actually shown the spotlight, I think, for many Australians who've kept their mouths shut on the Israel lobby. Now, as soon as he announced the Royal Commission, it felt like the air changed. And in analogous to that, happening at the same time, we've just had the Adelaide Writers' Festival, which has blown up. So the cancellation of Randa Abdul Fattah has basically caused the biggest writers' festival in Australia, which is just about to be undertaken, has about 60 people who have withdrawn. The way that these events, and I'm looking at you, FIFA, I'm looking at you, UEFA, I'm looking at you, the Eurovision Song Contest, will happily destroy their own event just to appease one country is quite terrifying. So the Adelaide Festival has really come at an interesting time, because I think there was a big push for the post-Bondi response from the news media, thinking they would cancel pro-Palestinian protests in Australia. And it's obvious that is not going to happen. The narrative is shifting. Plenty are now focusing on the power that the Israel lobby holds over Australia, how political speech is weaponized if it involves Israel. And the comparison between being Jewish and supporting genocide has been made by Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israel lobby. There are plenty of Jewish groups in Australia that oppose Benjamin Netanyahu. There are thousands that protest thousands of Jews in Israel that protest Benjamin Netanyahu every single week. There are thousands of Jews in America that protest Benjamin Netanyahu, but they are bizarrely one of the most silenced groups on earth. Like, you're not allowed to mention them. So I think over the next couple of months, there's going to be a renewed push for solidarity with the Palestinian cause. You're going to have events coming up like Eurovision, where there's going to be, like, for some reason, SBS go completely against their remit of what they stand for and are still broadcasting it when you've got like 5 countries in Europe that have pulled out protesting Israel. And with Trump invading Venezuela, that's emboldened Netanyahu, who is going to behave even worse this year. And a lot of people that have, put their weight behind anti-Semitism in this country, who are actually right-wingers anyway, who aren't traditionally supportive of Jewish people at all, but they are supportive of Netanyahu because they support him murdering lots of people who they don't like, to put it bluntly. So it's for Albo to have been tarred with the brush of supporting Palestinian human rights is a great look for a Labour leader. Like, I've never been more disappointed in a Labour leader. After Mark Latham, who guess who he supports, but when Julia Gillard came out staunchly for the Israel lobby and then got smacked down while she was Prime Minister by her own party for just pushing it too hard. Now there's going to be a big fight about the terms of reference, and I think the smarter heads in the Israel lobby have started to realise how dangerous this Royal Commission is for them, because it is going to cause a lot of self-reflection on what the cause of anti-Semitism is. And one of the biggest is, of course, the genocide in Gaza, and Netanyahu wedding that to being called anti-Semitism continually on a daily basis. So there's going to be a huge push to make this about Islamic extremism, to not focus on anti-Semitism, which is exactly what they said the whole thing was about at the start. And now they're backtracking on that. And for Albo to have been seen as a person that stood up to this is not a bad look for him. In the long run, we saw the American elections last year. No one says out loud, I did, but one of the main reasons that the 10 million votes stayed away from the Democrats, because they had like 10 million fewer people turn up at the polls, and they would have trounced Trump, was the war in Gaza. If you're on the Labour side, it was, I cannot hold my nose strong enough to vote for the Biden administration and Kamala Harris with their relentless support of Netanyahu. And that did cause an awful lot of people to sit home. So it's a really good long-term look for Albanese, and I'm starting to wonder whether this goofy joker is smarter than I am. I think he might be. And then you'll have this focus on people like Advance Australia, One Nation, and the March for Australia crew, who are the people in Australia promoting anti-Semitism. They support Israel, but they promote the Jews are running the banks, the Jews are doing this, and so on. They're the people doing it. It's not the Palestinian protesters. So there's going to be a lot of focus on things that the Israel lobby doesn't want you to focus on. And the people like Pauline and the Liberal Party will look very bought and paid for. The same in America at the moment. MAGA have this enormous schism between people that are massively against the influence of Israel and people that are massively Zionist. The leaders are Zionist, the rank and file base is not at all. And a lot of those are borderline neo-Nazis. They're not Palestinian supporters either. But there's this schism in the right. And I think that the Royal Commission is going to shine a light on this for a very long time. All Labour voters oppose Israeli genocide in Gaza, all of us. And the length of time the Royal Commission will take will be between probably 4 and 7 years. So there will be an enormous focus for a long time. So they want to make very, very sure that they get a very, very pro-Israel lobby person to run it, which I don't think they're going to get, and to make sure that it doesn't focus on anti-Semitism, which is what they said it was all about, because that will uncover a lot of very inconvenient truths, and it will put them in the spotlight like never before.